Good. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the first ever show of Talking Upstream with Some Nobodies. I'm Zach.
And I'm Dylan.
And we are Some Nobodies. If you guys don't know, this is obviously our very first show, like I just said. But what we do at Some Nobodies is we create a lot of content. We create shows, we create podcasts, we create comic books and board games. And through talking with the great people at IBM TV, and quick shout out to them for having us on, they thought it'd be a good idea that we kind of come on and show our method, our process on how we get from a nothing concept all the way down to a completed thing where we can make a podcast or something out of it. So if it's okay with you guys, we would like to kind of share our process.
Yeah. How you doing today, Zach?
I'm nervous, but I'm good. Yeah. It's hard to know to try to make up something.
It is.
But I feel pretty good. I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm irritated.
Okay.
Because Netflix hasn't bought anything from us yet.
True.
Yeah. So that's what we're here to fix.
That is the upstream part of our show, Talking Upstream. What we're trying to do here is talk our way to a streaming service, whether it's Disney Plus, preferably not, or Hulu or Netflix or Quibi or anything. We're just trying to get our stories out there. So I guess the first show, what we're going to do is try to go through how the process is going to go moving forward. This is going to be a different show than everyone moving forward, and you'll see why soon. But basically what Dylan and I do is when we're making up one of our ideas, we get together and we sit down and we have a quick think tank where we come together and I bring him an idea that I think is very cool and he does the same thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it is bouncing back and forth. A lot of this is discussion. And what we're hoping to do here is have a discussion between us wherein not only do we talk about ideas we're having, but the craft of turning that idea from an idea into something that you can potentially present to people, or if you are like us at this point, produce independently. We have, what is it? How many podcasts do we have now?
11?
It keeps upping every time we say it. So we have roughly 11 podcasts, and all of them so far are produced independently between us and our stable of folks who are willing to help us out, voices, music, facility, equipment, whatever you can find. Our goal with this show is to continue presenting ideas that can be turned into something concrete with the resources we have at hand, which right now is a shoestring budget. And unfortunately, all of our shoes are Velcro. So
it's easier that way.
Yes.
Why we decided to do this show was we will go up to our friends randomly and say, hey, have you heard our show Silicon Angels? Or have you heard our show The Podcast? And they would keep asking us, how do you guys do this? Like, we have ideas too. How do you guys actually make it? Because anyone can have an idea, and almost everyone has amazing ideas. We talk to so many people, and they go, well, have you thought about this? And no, that's a very, very cool idea. So we just wanted to maybe help people along the lines of, here's how to get to something where you can show it to somebody else or produce it yourself, like Dylan says.
Yep, to show people what it takes to at least take an idea and turn it into something that you can put onto paper.
Yep, absolutely.
Moving forward, ideally, what we're going to do at this part of the show, we're going to have a skit which we can present based on the discussion we had in the previous episode.
Yeah.
But we don't have that right now.
Correct, because we haven't had a show last time to work on a skit for this time. Also, moving forward, we're going to have guests too, and the guests are going to kind of help us decide which of the two stories we should, proceed down and really work on.
You're probably going to see some also faces or hear some voices that premiere in other Some Nobody stuff because we have friends who are willing to help us out, and we're very fortunate for that.
Yeah, if you listen to anything Some Nobody do, we do produce. We have about 15 actors that are in our roster. And if you go to Some Nobodies, you can actually see them all, or the picture they actually asked me to put up there for them. But either way, let's get on with this.
Yes.
So obviously, all that I charged Dylan with was coming to this with an idea.
Yes. He said, hey, we're going to be on the internet TV this week. He didn't tell me anything about what was happening.
No.
He didn't even tell me we were doing this until yesterday.
No, he actually didn't even believe me. Yes.
So I came with an idea. Vague, something that can be spun out into something that could be potentially produced. So, ideas. Cool. So the first one I came with, recently, our work, we started carrying Impossible meat, and I mean meat. And I was thinking, we've sold, I had to repot my plants the other day because some of them are dying because my thumbs are decrepit and
Well, they're not green.
They're not green. So I was thinking, like, you know how I don't have a hypothetical. What if plants grew meat?
What if plants grew meat?
So what if, like, you bought a plant and it grew something that was equivalent to like hamburger?
But why would it?
I don't know. We'll do it. Sci-fi.
Okay. So just you have a house plant that grows meat, like
Sure.
a
Or an equivalent. What if you could genetically create a plant to grow impossible meat?
Cool. That's pretty
Something
interesting.
like that.
Would it be like, is that vegan if a plant makes it?
I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, probably not. Because, I mean, well, no problem. I mean, it's a plant-based.
But I guess it would depend on how the plant got.
Depends on how the plant gets
cool.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
I don't know.
The one that I've been kind of working on and thinking about is there's obviously a lot of superheroes in the media right now. Avengers are doing a thing. Obviously, DC Universe is doing a better thing. So what I was thinking about was it seems odd to me that all superheroes that are in media have very good powers. It comes to me that some people would have powers that aren't good or bad. They're just superhuman. Like,
Sure.
say you have the ability of turning an apple into an orange. It is a cool ability, but you can't be a hero or a villain with that. I was thinking that there could be a support group for people that have powers that heroes, no villains want them. They actually get picked on by humans for having stupid powers, villains for having bad powers, and heroes for having
not so superpowers.
Yeah, exactly.
Just powers.
Yeah.
Like,
and then there would be like a superhero, like a support group for them, where they would feel cool to themselves, maybe.
Okay.
So that's my ideas. All right. So your idea, we have a plant makes food or makes meat.
I mean, yeah. Depending on who you ask, plants do make food.
This is why the show's probably not going to work. And then my idea is, I guess, super powered.
Not so super
Not
powered.
hero. Not so super powered.
Yeah.
Support group. Yeah.
You want to abbreviate that?
Not so super support. Cool.
All right.
So moving forward in the show, we're going to start having guests on from other podcasts, and we're going to actually have them select which one of these two ideas we bring to the table to kind of help us out. It just seems easier that way because...
Excuse me.
Is that a Diet Coke?
They're not paying us. Don't
Weird.
say
It doesn't even taste
it.
good.
I need caffeine.
Anyway, you have an Nalgene. Okay. So a lot of the times Dylan and I get together and we have the ideas, and then he thinks his idea is obviously very, very good, which actually this one it is. And I always think that my idea is great. So we usually let one of our crew decide which one we should go down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this one, I don't know. Which one do you like one or the other more?
So it depends on what we're going. I think with these two, it depends on what we're going to produce them as.
Okay.
Because you have to think about that when you have something that you're going to turn into something you're presenting.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, because
So-
obviously, like a plant making meat, that's not going to be a good podcast or audio medium.
No, audio-wise,
So that would be a good comic book or a
comic book. Well, so you were thinking it's a support group for superheroes.
mine, yeah.
Does it exclusively take place at the support group, or does it follow them as they go about their like daily lives, showing their powers?
We can talk about that.
That's true. That's fair.
I think it's setting it in the support group itself is funny. Not that support's funny itself, but keeping an insular story of a bunch of people that are troubled. I think that's an interesting story.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's enough spectacle in superhero stuff that stuff like Unbreakable, which is it's fine. But
Unbreakable's great.
It's fine.
It's great.
Okay.
It's his number
this
one
is
movie.
not a film discussion show.
Not yet.
No,
Let us know if you want to do a film discussion show.
There's a lot on the table to be said for non-spectacle superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's a more in-depth discussion of the like being a powered individual. I know we both watched, what was that one on Netflix, Code 8?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was
and
cool.
it had a lot of like kind of nose in the dirt superhero stuff, which is way more fun in my opinion than like something's taking a building down.
I agree.
It cost $10 million for the shot.
Yeah. Here comes a laser beam from space.
Sure. Blue light into the sky. It's a classic.
The thing is,
it works every time.
We don't have that kind of money to make that.
No. The only thing So like Plant Makes Meat. Mark is asking in the chat, can the houseplant grow a full dinner? To be determined. That's what we're here to figure out.
We're about to figure that out. Maybe.
I would see that it could work as a podcast potentially, but it would be.
I think that's more of a visual medium, unfortunately.
You could get some really fun stuff with like you have a plant, and we're immediately talking props, which is budget.
Yeah.
You have a plant. That plant starts growing very strange buds or fruit. You cut into it, and you've got this weird marble.
Yeah, just blood.
Or just blood if you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
Like if it's like a
like
if it's like a Venus flytrap and it eats like an insect, and that insect technically is meat.
Yeah.
It would produce
a
meat, a protein.
We're talking about props right there, which automatically puts it a little bit more than just above an audio one.
It could be a puppet.
It could be a puppet. You remember how our experience making puppets went?
But we now know a puppet person.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the network.
Oh yeah. That's true.
So maybe we talk to our friends.
Friends. The real props you had are the friends you made along the way.
That's what we're here.
That's what we learned.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, if we're doing, considering we have the most experience in audio.
That's true. With our 15 podcasts.
If we want to turn not so super support into something that we could put in audio.
Oh yeah.
We're wrapping up our other show right now.
Yeah, the cool thing about audio that we found is that you can use obviously sound effects, which mimic special effects when you have zero budget. But I agree. I think this would actually make a very cool audio medium.
Yeah.
I think it'd make a cool podcast.
Cool.
All right, so I'm going to go with this one.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we'll work on Plant Makes Meat some other time.
We'll file it away.
Yeah.
Cool.
All
right.
I like that.
So, Superpower Support Group. Who runs it? Who's there? And what is the question of the whole? What's the question we're asking? Who's the question about? And then who is around that person or persons? Okay.
Question we're asking is, what happens if you don't have a superpower that is deemed good?
Sure.
That's the question.
I'm going to keep calling this not so superpowers.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Cool.
We'll workshop names later.
Yeah.
We'll get to names. I'll write that down. Names. Okay, so obviously the people that are in the support group are going to be the people that have not so stellar abilities.
Right.
Which means the person running the support group, it would be probably the most interesting if they were either a superhero, because they would be doing the best.
It's probably good if they actually have powers and run support group, so they come from a position of like, what are your qualifications? Well, my qualifications are that I.
Yeah, but the downside is that could seem a bit like mockery and a bit annoying that if you're going to a group for not having something great, and then somebody great is doing. So it might be cool if there was a villain who's underplaying his abilities.
It's run. Wait,
it's ran by a villain.
It's run by the villain?
Yeah. Maybe it's like a reformed villain.
Okay, sure.
I think that villainous powers, especially in modern media, are easier to hide and might even be better for what we're looking for. Because so obviously, like if it is a villain, then their power would be something that would relate to the meeting.
Are they open about the fact that they're a villain? So spinning out. So what we're starting to do right now is develop context for these characters. We haven't had any characters yet.
Yeah.
But the world in which they inhabit has started to require some rules. How tongue-in-cheek is this? Do they refer to themselves as heroes and villains? Is this like
there are superheroes,
very openly commentary, or is this very much like in the universe? This is a unique.
No, I think there are a lot of superheroes, and I think there are a lot of supervillains. Because I think that you would need a lot of those to have a bigger group of people that need support.
Okay, so powers are relatively widespread.
Yeah, I think
and they take it. How seriously does this world take itself? Out of five being Watchmen, one being Next Wave.
Now, I like the idea of not serious characters taking their problems seriously.
Okay.
So I will say they take everything seriously. I think to make an easier joke, but also a more compelling storyline, if they take it seriously, then I think we can give it heart and depth.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good idea. I think how rote do we want superheroism to be? Do we want to be established teams? Do we want it to be deputized like government people?
Well,
do we want it to be Wild West? Because at a certain level, the high-powered people disrupt like socioeconomics.
I would assume, based on current states, that if it is privatized or governmentized,
sure. Are we talking like Marvel style? The easy one, Marvel style, where they have their private groups, or DC style, where we have the government having like the Thunderbolts.
I'm gonna say DC style.
Okay,
I like there being government influence, which I think would push more hatred of for people.
It at least introduces the idea that you could kind of like balance that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
So we're cool being serious.
Yeah.
But with
it takes itself seriously. We are not. This is not explicitly a comedy genre project.
Right.
Okay. It has jokes and comedic stuff in it.
But I do think that
we're not writing a comedy.
Right.
Okay.
I do think that there is a very so say it is a podcast, right?
Sure.
There's forms of podcast, obviously,
Yeah.
and we've learned that. There are like found footage style, there are documentary style, there are just straight up like this is just a show style. But I think to make this the most compelling story, if we keep it set inside of the therapy sessions.
So, one thing that's I like that. I think, and podcasts in general kind of lend themselves to not bottle episodes, but very constrained. What we've seen works, at least for us. So our other show is Silicon Angels. It is a semi-improv comedy, which is presented as a series of technical support calls for a robotics company, which works very well in an audio medium because it is exclusively people talking to each other on the phone, and you don't have to input any sort of like, we never have the issue of someone trying to like push another person back, and then we have to put in the sound effect of a rattling shelf, and we never have people just grunting at each other in a fight. So I think presenting it in a therapy, as a roundtable therapy with people, probably is the best way to go forward.
Yeah.
Plus, also, that saves us on sound effects for superpower effects. We never have to worry about what an eye laser sounds like. We never have to worry about someone teleporting. We never have to worry about someone,
which obviously is a bam,
snicking their clothes.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we both know comic book sound effects. That's fine. Is that copyright?
No.
Okay,
that's
cool.
No, not yet.
All right. So we're doing a podcast about a superhero support group
in a group
setting.
Group setting.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Now, I guess we have to work on what this story is going to be. So now we have a setting.
Yeah.
And we know that this is a somewhat interesting setting. We have our medium. And now we kind of work out like a rough timeline. What is the story that we're going to tell?
We should have. So this is not lending itself to a save the city, save the world style story. I don't think these people, how we're kind of pitching these characters, they're not the people who are going to go out and save things. If they are a support group for people with like less than stellar powers, it's probably best for them to have a personal catharsis arc where they come in unsure if their powers are worthwhile, and then in some way use their powers to show that they are useful, to help people. If we want to go the actual superhero route, they can actively use their powers to help people.
Well, I also think that it might be interesting if some of the people that are in the support group maybe want to be villains. They just can't.
Okay.
So then there's no need to be a superhero at the end.
So is the person who runs this, are they open about their former villainry? Villaintude. Villainosity. We'll work on that. Evilness.
I would assume that if it is a government-based structure,
it's not this dude's private practice.
The therapy session. No.
Okay.
No, I think it might be ran by somebody.
Okay.
And then he would have maybe his past is in the records.
The records?
Yeah, like if you were to
like register, like
if you were to look him up, you'd be like,
I see. Okay.
Oh, he was the caped.
Is this then his like community service then, that he has to help other people kind of reform, even if they're not villainous?
So let's just say that we think about movies like Joker, where you are looking at the villain as the hero, or like say Endgame or whatever. Okay. And you see the bad guy, but they're the hero of the story.
Okay.
So let's just say that this the guy who's running, the person who's running the class, they are a villain, but they think they're a hero.
Okay.
So maybe they're doing things.
Okay. So the term for that could be anti-villain, which you see applied sometimes to Venom. Venom is the most popular
non-hero.
one. Non-hero. Is he the protagonist? Because the protagonist is who the story falls on, and they're the one who the story focuses on, not necessarily the hero.
So I would say that if he is the villain of the whole show, or at least a villain, it would be cool to make him the villain of the show.
Okay.
If we're going to make it superheroes then, or superpowered, then let's just say that he is the big bad somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it becomes kind of like, is it his story of attempting redemption and then falling from it?
Yes, but then I guess to make that story good, we would need the opposite to happen. We would need somebody going from neutral to good.
So we have the people in the therapy session fight their therapist. It's not therapy.
No, not therapy.
It's not therapy. But fight their group counseling leader.
Like we're forming a audible Justice League.
Not the same power level as Justice League.
Okay, fair. So like a weird Doom Patrol.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's say maybe we have them throughout the arc of whatever this is. They get together and join a team.
Let's start a character tab. Yeah, if we want to change names to characters or something, or / characters. So we need the counselor. Yeah.
All right, counselor.
All right. ELOR. That's fine. Should I correct?
That's what I wrote.
Am I correcting you on?
No, that's what I wrote.
Okay.
Obviously.
Oh, of course.
That, yeah.
I misread that.
And he's the bad.
So we have the counselor. He's the villain, or at least the negative force that impacts the people the story is about.
So he's a non-hero.
Non-hero. How many? So let's see.
Well, you would need. Okay, so if it's a good team, you would need probably between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
That way we're introducing some origin people.
Let's say 5, because with the counselor it's 6.
Oh, good.
That's 6 core voices, and then we can have satellite characters come in and out if we need them, if we have them. The benefits of having a large stable of talent to work with, like we do, is that you have 4 to 6 people who show up regularly at every session, and you have a whole bunch of people who show up when they can. And the good thing is,
Gil.
Don't call him out by name. He's saying an unusual feature that person has.
He's a fish man. He's part of our crew.
Do we want a fish person as one of the heroes?
Maybe.
It's a little close to Abe Sapien. Yeah. All right. But then that way you can give the people who show up, generally they're the ones who like put the most effort in, give them the core people, and then you have the rest of the show revolve around whoever shows up.
Yeah.
And the good thing about tech support and the good thing about counseling is that sometimes your core people can't show up, which means you have the B characters step up and you give them a spotlight episode, which we've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Silicon Angels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
So then I guess, okay, there is the thing in every story that you have to get people into the story, right? Which is called the window. We would need a way to get into this, since this isn't, you can't walk outside and go into this world. We would need a way into here. So I suggest that one of our heroes, we start with their first time in the group, right?
Yeah.
So one of our heroes goes into group.
C1 for character 1.
Yep.
Or H, I don't know.
C1 goes to group.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess to work out a full timeline, which just makes the most sense.
So the end is them. Do they beat him, or is the end the moment of them coming together to start fighting him? Because 1 presents us the unique challenge of presenting a superhero fight scene with no visuals.
A lot of sounds.
Which Zach does all of the editing for our podcast, so it's up on you if you're interested.
I think sounds cool. I think maybe so. Almost every superhero story that goes from group setting to this is a very linear story from them forming a group, beating a bad guy.
Yep.
So I say that we kind of stay away from that.
Okay.
Let's just be a little different. Okay. So then I guess it's either...
Do you want it to be a little more personal than that, where they don't fight him at all? Or...
I do like them fighting at the end. I think there's something cool about people that maybe don't feel so good about themselves and then find their family and then go up against something.
Sure.
My problem is that their powers aren't good, so I think they would lose.
Wait. Okay. Okay, so we're planning out. I think it's important for us to set like a limit right now. We are planning out one season right now.
Yeah, let's say season 1
with an open-ended ending that if we want to come back to this we can, but we should give it a concrete at least moment where we feel like we have reached closure.
And I'm only saying season instead of a singular thing because I think that if we're going to introduce 6 people, I don't think that a 2 to 3 hour thing is sufficient. So I would say something along the lines of like almost 10. 10 episodes.
10 episodes. I like 10.
Yeah, 10 solid. There you go. Easy.
If you don't have all your, I'm not gonna make that joke. That's
no, that's rude. But either way, 10's nice.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. We have 5 heroes. We have 10 episodes.
Cool. Do we want to have the standard like? So, are you familiar with TV Tropes, the website?
Yeah.
They classify teams like the Power Rangers. You have the Lancer, the Hothead, the Wild Card, the Sixth Ranger, etc. Do we want to kind of assign archetypes and then fill those in? Do we want to come up with weird powers and see if we can fit them in somehow else?
They both work, and we have to have them. You're going to need the basic archetypes to have the story push forward. So I guess we can start.
Who's this guy?
C1. So C1 is the person that has to go to group, because I would assume that group here is either voluntary or court ordered, right? I think that's funny. Like a defensive driving class.
Combination of the two. Yeah, I don't see why they can't be both.
So let's just say that that it is court ordered, and that this C1, their power is something that maybe would get them in more trouble just for having the power.
Okay.
I don't know.
Cool. What about C2? How long have they been in the group?
C2, I think that it's pretty important to have some. Well, you always need somebody in the story that can clue in the window character.
Okay.
So you have to have somebody that's been there for a while, that knows the rules of the world, that understands the dynamic, and they can give you exposition in a drop of a hat. So they would need to be here for a while.
They're the character who introduces them to the strangeness.
Yes.
Okay.
They're the quick buddy.
Okay. Who is C3?
C3, I think that.
Do we want this to be like a triangle primary like character relationship in the same way that Harry Potter kind of does, where Harry is the heart, Ron is the, well, I guess Ron would be the heart. Harry's the main character.
He's the guts.
Bad example because Harry was kind of bland. Hermione's the brains, Ron's the heart, Harry's the narrator.
Brawn?
Yeah.
I guess it would have to be.
Sure, okay. Yeah. So we've got, it seems like C1 is heart.
Sure.
C2 would be
brains.
Yeah. So who's the brawn? Who's the one that shows? Well, because if we're finishing this up with someone with the group coming together to fight, they need to at least have a reasonable expectation that it could work out for them, even if they lose.
Yeah.
They need to believe that they can take this guy on, whatever his powers are. We'll go to that later.
Very true. Yeah.
So C3 could be utility.
Okay.
Like,
that's not bad. Well, you always do need that character too that like lays low in the beginning and then comes at the end and like is a big deal.
Okay.
So it's, what is that, the boring person?
Are we talking like Black Bolt style where their power's just that disruptive, or are we talking more like are we long bottoming? Are we Neville long bottoming?
It would be Neville. Yeah. So it's something that he's underestimated in the whole show, and then turns out to be maybe the prophecy crux.
Underdog.
So, the underdog.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
They're also heart. I don't know that the brain brawn heart thing is going to work in this one, but no, they all seem to have heart. If the entire idea is them coming as a fractured group into a cohesive, elite, not crime fighting, but villain fighting group, then I guess they're all heart.
Yeah, true. So then maybe we work on like the 5 main character types.
Sure.
Or we just start working on some stupid superpowers.
He can smell the future.
Smell the future?
He can smell the future.
And it smells great.
And it smells like crime.
It smells like crime.
Oh. Or it smells great.
No, I like the crime one better.
We're not setting this in New York. I'm making that decision right now.
No.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you're okay. We're on board.
No, it's gonna be Middle America.
Middle America?
Yeah.
What, like Wichita?
Like maybe Des Moines.
We're always going back to Des Moines. All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, Middle America is always funny anyway. Don't know. He grew up in Middle America, so
Ohio. I wouldn't recommend it.
He gets made fun of a lot. So I will say that. Well, maybe we should work on the villain.
Yeah.
Let's work on maybe what the villain's powers are. What would be a power that a bad person would have that might help out in a therapy or in a group situation? So the problem that they're going to come across is that they're in charge of people with some powers.
Yeah.
And that's probably distracting.
Okay.
So what if it's either it takes place in a place that powers don't exist?
A place that does that?
Like, what if it's like
let's just make him do it. There you go.
That's his power?
Maybe that. So imagine like, what if Lex Luthor's power was that within like a 30-foot radius, nobody's powers worked. Superman flies in and he suddenly loses the power to like propel himself and he just tumbles to the ground.
Oh, cool.
I mean, obviously, you get the people like Batman where they enter that radius and nothing changes.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just forgets stuff.
What's it like what do you call that?
I mean, Warhammer 40K calls it a null. Null.
Right, null.
Yeah.
All right, so our villain.
It'll make it ungoogleable, but.
That's cool.
I'm getting no results on this. All right.
So our villain.
So the villain, cool. So he cancels powers out.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Okay. All right. So he cancels powers out. So this dude who can smell the future no longer smells.
That actually really helps out with podcast stuff too, because then we don't need to put sound effects of things because when they're around him, then okay. Cool.
You got to think within your budget. It's important.
Use your tools.
If you twist your brain enough, you can be creative enough that generally things can work out okay.
That's true.
Yeah,
I do like that. I think it's pretty cool.
It works. Let's see. So we've got a villain who's a null. We have a hero, a buddy, an underdog.
So
do we want to wait on the other two, or do we want to try and figure out this?
Well, maybe let's figure out the hero first,
Okay.
so we can get a rough timeline down. So let's just say that the person, our C1, is made to go to the group.
Okay.
Right. I guess it would be cool if when he goes to the group, if this person's powers is attractive.
Like they have some sort of power that when it's turned off, he immediately notices.
Yeah, like
I am projecting he onto the main character.
Right. Let's just say
it is amorphous until we decide. I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Characters are characters.
That's what USA says.
I guess.
So let's just say that like of the Fantastic Four, the Thing, right? So if he were to walk in there, he would automatically know, and he would turn back into his character.
We can get Michael Chiklis for this. What else is he doing?
Well, we can get the kid from the Trank one. The Josh.
We could. I don't want to be associated with Josh Trank.
Yeah, Chiklis is doing nothing.
Okay, so he's a Thing style superhero where his power has made him inhuman in some way.
I think it would be very interesting that as soon as he walks into this group, he is affected immediately.
Okay.
So
sure. That gives him an immediate reason to keep coming back.
Right.
And it gives him some real like pathos to I think I'm saying pathos, right?
Mm.
To gives him some reasons to come back. It ties him in. It makes the listeners sympathize.
True.
Because who doesn't want to stop being a pile of rocks?
Yes. Oh, what if it's like really painful though? Like when
the transformation or the power?
When he goes the transformation when he has to leave. Because then he's transforming back into
I'm not so sure I'm into that because
like just a pop.
I think like he crosses that barrier and we hear like
all right, cool.
Because I think pain gives him thank you. Audio medium.
Yeah.
I do all of our sound effects.
We recording this?
No, so I think having it hurt when he leaves gives him incentive to not come back.
Ooh,
and I
fair.
think
good point.
We want to avoid that.
I like that
as much as we can.
So then what is something that would be a physical thing that he would obviously like to so I mean and it's got to be kind of a real weak power too.
So it's a weak power.
Yeah.
It has to cause him physical
transformation.
It has to cause him at least dislike the way he is.
Right. So I guess the easy one would be either like half elemental or half animal. What's
like part mud?
What's a
Just Mudman.
Well, Clayface, that's cool. Then you can transform stuff.
No,
So, what is like an animal that if you were to meet a half that you maybe
Crocodile?
That's pretty good.
That's Killer Croc.
Yeah, but crocs are cool though.
Crocs are bad.
What about what's an
animal? What's a useless animal?
Dude, birds.
Birds?
I'm on record as saying this many times.
I know.
I hate birds.
They're not real.
Most of them are
drones.
And the other ones are just lazy old dinosaurs. They are not.
Chicken Man?
Oh,
eats a chicken? Chicken?
I think what's like a more annoying bird?
The meme one is goose. A horrible goose.
That's cool because if he's a goose and he's angry,
he's part goose.
Part goose. He's half goose, half man.
He's played by Luis Guzman.
The good half, yeah, not the goose half. All right, so he's half goose. He's half man.
Just Luis Mon.
Luis Mon, right?
All right,
the goose.
Ugh, we're gonna let that bit die.
All right, so we're gonna say C1 is we're just gonna say
Goose Man. Goose from
Top Gun. No, that's a good guy, and he's also dead.
Is Goose Man not a good guy? I don't like Goose Man.
Man Goose.
Man Goose? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Man Goose?
Sure. Let's do it. Man, ugh.
No, it even looks good.
Horrible. Possums are useless. Mark,
I do hate the possums.
Mark's been blowing up chat. Hello, Mark. I see you.
Is he liking what's going on?
I think so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's contributing. He said Akron, Ohio would also be a good setting. I at least have experience in Akron, Ohio.
Akron.
Akron's fine. I have friends who live in Messina. Hello. I don't think he's watching.
Messina never watches.
So Mangoose shows up.
All right.
Cool.
So a good guy's Mangoose.
Mangoose shows up. He immediately notices how he becomes just man.
Man. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, this is great."
He's like, "Oh, I should have shaved."
I should have shaved.
No.
If he like plucks his feathers, does the hair status transfer over?
Yeah, he gets a 5 o'clock feather.
5 o'clock down.
Yeah. Better. Way better.
All right. So Mangoose is CP1. Who greets him? Who's at the session?
So then we would need somebody that's going to team up with Mangoose. That's going to help out the end, and then. So I would think if this person's here for a long time, if they're in the group for a while,
sure.
It would be pretty cool that maybe they're in the group because of the power. Say it's something so bad that they just cannot they cannot handle normal life.
Like they're Human Torch, but their nerves don't ignore it.
Yeah, or something worse, like something that like every time you breathe, it's always like farts or
that's just bad breath.
All right. So that's you then. So CP2 is Dylan. Let's say that what if that one. Okay, so what if? And I think that you mentioned this before. And I'm going to reuse it.
Okay.
But you mentioned something about would it be weird if someone bit their fingernails, they knew when they were going to die, which is very weird.
Okay.
So like
sure.
Taking that concept and it being like. Everything that you ate, you knew the expiration date. Yeah, that's fair.
So they can detect the figurative expiration date of things they taste?
Sure. Like, say they were having a job at a factory, they would taste a chip and go, well, this batch of chips is good.
Is it the whole batch, or is it just that individual thing they taste?
Well, I guess like if you cook,
I guess I'm splitting hairs on that question.
That's a little technical. But I think the weird thing, it's a very cool power, a very cool job. But then what happens if you were to like bite your fingernails or say kiss your partner?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my God, I know when they're going to die.
You know when they're going to die, and what if it changes?
That's it.
I kissed you yesterday morning, and I'm kissing you now.
Yeah.
And something you did over the past 24 hours shaved 5 weeks off your life.
That's cool.
Do they become obsessive about that?
I think they would have to.
Do they constantly know when they're dying, or are they immune to their power?
Only if they
like bite themselves to the point where they bleed or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
Expiration date guy.
And that would give us an end date.
Huh?
Because let's just say that like when Mangoose shows up, he meets expiration date.
Yeah. Expiration date. We'll call it until something.
Okay. So CP2 needs to have a better name than expiration.
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Brad.
That's
taken. That's awful.
I've met Best Buy.
Don't write that down.
No. How about expiration? Oh God, I spelled it all
That's
wrong.
fine. They can't see it.
Nate.
Okay, cool. Man, Goose, and Expiration Nate.
Yeah, this is coming in good.
All right.
Okay, cool. So that's CP2.
Is his partner in the group? We talked about him like kissing his partner.
Yeah.
Is she powered, or does she support him by coming with him?
So they would need Expiration Nate. That's a really good name. Expiration Nate needs to
time note. We are at 45 minutes.
Awesome.
Cool.
Expiration Nate would need to something would need to happen. So yeah, if he were to have a partner in that group and they were to interact, that would be a cool thing. So
is that okay? So we're doing 10 episodes hypothetically. We need the drop at the end of the first episode to bring people in for the next one. Is the drop at the end of the first episode Expiration Nate noticing that like someone is going to die like 2 weeks ahead on the night of how precise is his power? Day of 12 hours on either side roughly?
A 12-hour window.
Sure. Okay. What if he notices that someone is going to die on the day that they go to this counseling group? And it's like something changed and
or let's just say that, like, say Man Goose and Nate become pretty good friends.
Okay.
And then for some reason they didn't interact a lot with the partner. At the end of the group the first day, they say like, "Hey, it was nice meeting you, Man Goose, whatever his other name is,
Jim." For now, not Jim from IBM TV.
No, Mark.
Mark from IBM.
No.
Hi, Mark.
No. Let's just say that he introduces Man Goose to his partner, and then they just kiss to say goodbye, and that's when he notices that the date is whatever this date is, and that's the date that she dies, which is now in 2 weeks.
Okay. So
no 10 weeks.
10 weeks, because otherwise
2.5 months.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'd have to worry about, is every episode a separate support?
I guess
meeting. I guess. Yeah.
That's the first thought. The first thought is that it's a half an hour group session, and then you hear the audio of that half an hour.
Sure. Okay.
So let's just say that. So then he meets with CP2 and CP3.
Yeah. Cool.
And that's the crux, right? Okay. And then they find out that the expiration now is 10 weeks.
Cool. That's 10 episodes.
That is convenient.
We've done 10 and a half episodes currently, actually, of our other show.
Oh, about to drop 11.
All right.
All right, so that's easy, right? So then we have we have a nice little some spots here.
So the end of episode 1, I don't know how you want to mark this. End of episode 1, Nate realizes the death date has changed on his partner.
Of his partner, right.
Okay, cool. All right. And then does he think that Man Goose is responsible?
Well, obviously.
Okay.
That would be the main change.
Okay.
So that would put Nate against Man Goose.
With CP3 potentially clearly siding with Nate, but potentially as a voice of reason.
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. What powers should a voice of reason have? Is she voice of reason, where she can convince people to do stuff
the
like
voice of reason.
against their like
that's just
hot-headedness?
That's kind of a cool power, though.
What if it doesn't work all the time? They don't want to listen to her all the time.
Like what? What do you mean it doesn't work all the time? Like when would it work?
It's like a Jedi mind trick. It only works on like super weak-willed people or when they are in a particular moment of like vulnerability.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. How do we phrase that it doesn't always work all the time?
It doesn't. I mean,
it just doesn't work?
Yeah, she sometimes has the ability to vocally hypnotize,
and that's why she can't be good or bad, because she's undependable.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
She's good at it. So, yeah.
Wait, she convinces people to do stuff? That seems like a bad power.
Maybe she calms people a little bit. Voice of reason. I don't know if we want to stick with that.
Or
that's a little bit of a mouthful.
I do like that. What are some other characters? So we got to put we also got to throw some characters in there with just ridiculous powers. Just because I think that's funny.
Yeah. So we need someone who is just patently ridiculous. Do we want a mud man? Do we want a mud person? But like not like Clayface. Like just like
it's just they're always like very loose mud.
They're all just mud. Yeah. They can't shapeshift it.
They're just mud.
They're just mud.
Just made of mud? A human that's made of mud?
Or is that a little too close to Mangoose because it's that physical transformation? I think it's a little too close.
What are some other very just bad powers?
Smell the future.
Yeah, I know. Okay, cool.
Is that too close to expiration, Nate? Or is it general enough and a different sense enough?
No, because if he smells the immediate future, that isn't so much of a doomed thing.
Yeah.
So
crime knows.
Crime.
Call him Crime Nose for now.
Sure. Crime Nose.
What?
Crime Nose.
Crime Dog.
Crime Sniffer.
Crime Hound.
Crime Nose. All right, and he just smells things that are coming up soon. Like he
smells the future. Yeah.
He smells of the future, or smells the actual future.
To be determined.
Okay.
We'll wait on that. I like the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to have Crime Nose be like one of the main characters. They can be Satellite.
That's okay. We do need some randoms in there just to keep some stuff going.
What about? So core 4 right now.
Yeah.
Mangoose, Expiration Nate, partner, potentially voice of reason. I like the idea that she's a vocal swayer, whatever you call that in like superhero.
Yeah. Like she rallies people together or whatever.
Let's see, what else could we do? Do we want like?
I don't know. So I guess what we're saying is that Nate and the voice of reason for right now are setting the timeline.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point, we do have to realize that CP1, a Mangoose, is not the villain.
Yes.
So we do got to find out how to get the villain.
Is Mangoose also? Are we following Mangoose very closely? Are they the listener's express window?
It's the current window.
Okay. Yeah. So the listener. But should the listener have any reason to suspect Mangoose might be responsible?
No.
How long do we want to keep that going?
I think as long as the couple thinks it.
So at the end of episode 1, Expiration Nate thinks Mangoose is responsible.
Yeah.
Episode 2, he acts on that in some way, or does he wait and see?
I would say that he's suspicious and looks for signs.
So episode 2 can be a character episode where we go a bit more into people doing stuff.
Yeah, and maybe a little more comedy.
End of episode 3, do we want Expiration Nate to confront Mangoose? That should be the confrontation.
I think by 3 that should be resolved.
Okay.
And that way, that's when we start learning about how the counselor is going to be the big bad.
So end of episode 3, there's a confrontation between Expiration Nate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Yeah, I can count. I'm a writer, not a math person.
And I can spell.
Yes.
All right. So by 3, that way that the big ruse is done.
At least the first one, yeah.
Yeah. So the first ruse.
We learn that Mangoose is not responsible, or at least not directly responsible for this.
It's done. Cool. So that's also probably a good spot to bring in the second ruse, though.
Yes.
Or at least to somehow introduce the big bad of the season.
Yes.
I think
that works.
Yeah, that's fine. Because that would still give them like maybe a couple episodes to confirm that.
Yeah.
And then the build up, and then the crux, and then the final.
Do we want the main points to be odd numbered episodes? Generally, so I refer to pacing when I look at like HBO when they were doing Game of Thrones back in the good years. That is an official some nobody stance that it stopped being good after season 6.
There was good years,
but they tend to have the big plot points hit on the odd numbered episodes. End of episode 1, you end with a big hook. Episode 3, you introduce the next arc. Episode 5 is a big mid-season thing. 7 is a build-up, and then 9, because it's the penultimate episode of the season, has the red wedding, the big torching of the city, that sort of thing.
Cool. Then yeah, it makes sense.
So, yeah,
it's a good pacing because that would mix it up between continuity, background conversation, and also just like kind of joke throw-ins.
Yeah.
And
so in 5, do we want 4 to be kind of like a breather episode where we learn? So 4 is a breather episode. We do some comedy bits. We maybe have some satellite characters take the spotlight.
Yeah.
So 5, what if we introduce 5 as like someone comes across the villain's backstory?
So that's the confirmation of the villain.
That's the confirmation of the villain.
Love it.
And we obviously work in like some foreshadowing stuff that we can reincorporate.
Yeah, so the foreshadowing is going to be here. At some point, I would assume because the bad guys are on a registry that around this is when somebody, maybe, okay, so let's just say that Mangoose is feeling like threatened or whatever in the very beginning, and he does research, and he uncovers some stuff that the counselors hear. That'd be a cool thing if, say, Expiration Nate comes up to him and is like, hey, I think you're doing something bad. And the Mangoose like, honk.
Yeah, okay, sorry, keep going.
it's the counselor. He's this guy. Look at all these notes here.
Sure.
And then then there's confirmation here.
Yeah.
And that's the team build up for the second half. I think that's cool.
Okay. What info does he come across?
I guess whatever past crime that the counselor is trying to redeem himself for, which is probably a pretty bad crime.
Probably.
Yeah.
Did he hunt supers and now he's helping supers?
Sure.
Did he hunt? So villainous goals and superhero stuff. We're not going for spectacle. We're not going for destruction of the world. We're not going for a beam of light into the sky. We're not going for alien invasion. We can reference an alien invasion because
only the movies.
What's that?
Only movies.
Sure. Oh. So we're going for something that does not require spectacle, does not require a lot of sound effect, big battle stuff.
Right.
So I think if we want him to be like Craven style, where he hunts superheroes down, maybe if he's doing this for the government, if he's doing the counseling for the government, maybe he took contracts with the government to hunt people down on either side.
And that would actually make him probably feel a different way about doing the crimes.
Yeah.
Like he felt justified.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So he's an ex-contract killer.
Yeah.
An ex-super contract killer.
And if his powers are to cancel out powers,
yeah,
they will never see him coming.
True.
And all he needs is like a revolver.
So then at some point, somehow,
you know what I mean? Like,
just kill him.
It cancels out your rhino skin. Just carry a gun.
Now it would be cool. So we would also need, well, I guess, okay. So if we have Expiration Date, he can tell us the end. If we have Crime Nose, they can kind of be a filler for certain things, at least whether they're right or wrong at the confirmation state or whatever. We would still need Voice of Reason. What else?
We don't, unless Mangoose is the muscle, we need a muscle of some sort.
True.
Though, honestly, we can kind of ditch the power archetypes if they're going to be fighting the counselor, because his powers
don't matter.
Powers don't matter. So maybe we have like a Batman-style super hyper-trained guy whose training doesn't go away when he's around the counselor.
Oh, like he has powers, but they're not super. Like he just worked on them to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because
Batman doesn't have powers.
Batman doesn't have powers. Depending on who writes them.
So what is something you can train yourself to do that would get you at a superhero level?
I don't want to go close combat. I don't want to go that they're very good at fighting or kung fu or something.
No, because
we can't portray that.
It's got to also be bad enough they'd be in this group.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know.
Well, what are some, maybe let's throw some just joke things in there, just to kind of sprinkle some jokes in there.
Maybe they're just really good at math.
Someone's really good at math?
Someone's really good at math. I don't know.
That's fine.
There's something there, maybe.
I guess I'll pretend to write that
down.
All
right. No, you don't have to.
Let's see. What if there's like some sort of like maybe prophecy? I don't really like prophecy stuff.
Prophecy, you run the risk with prophecy of removing a lot of the dramatic tension, because while you can do prophecy in a way where it doesn't come true and that feels satisfying, a lot of times if people see a prophecy, they do expect it to be fulfilled, even if it's in a roundabout way.
True. So false prophecy is always fun too.
Well, so what power and what ability could be trained that could hypothetically be useful in some sort of team-up situation?
Sleight of hand magic.
Do we want to just have a magician? He's just a magician.
I mean, because like,
are they convinced that they're a superpowered magician?
Maybe they're just that good at.
Maybe they're just that good that they've tricked
David
themselves.
Blaine style magician.
They've tricked themselves into thinking that they're superpowered.
Because like, say that if the bad person thought that they were magic,
yeah,
they know their power would cancel. So if the power still worked inside the bubble, it might be a very cool confusion state, or at least a good end to something.
Do they have different powers and they happen to do practical magic, or do they believe that their powers are practical magic?
Well, I guess they would also need some sort of power.
Starring Sandra Bullock.
Practical magic.
Practical magic.
Not bad. Not her worst half.
Not her worst. Miss Congeniality too.
All right, so we have a magician.
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
Why not? Cool. All right.
I don't know what power they would have. It would need to be something similar to magic.
Yeah. They can make things partial. They can make things invisible for a certain amount of time. They can fit things that are bigger than their hat inside their hat.
Putting things in hats is always cool.
Putting things in hats. All right.
Yeah, and the hat's got to stay outside of this bubble because the hat is magic.
Okay.
Maybe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a public domain character? You know how like Marvel has Thor and all the pantheons. DC has a lot of the Greek gods and like Achilles. No, Achilles is not a DC one.
No, it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Do we want a public domain character where it's like Gilgamesh? The ancient hero Gilgamesh just happens to go to the support group. I don't know.
Is that the? I like that idea. I think that's cool.
That could be the muscle.
I don't know who Gilgamesh is.
Okay.
When you first said it, I thought it was the person that has the cat from Smurfs, which
that's
is not that.
Guilfoyle.
No, that's a way better character. Gargamel?
Gargamel.
Yeah.
That's it. No, Gilgamesh was the first recorded hero character in what most people consider literature. He seeks immortality. He meets Enkidu, who's a wild man, like winds up being turned to the human side, and then he fails to get immortality because it's unobtainable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we could also maybe put like a Hercules in here.
Well, yeah, that's
public domain.
Yeah, he is public domain. Do you think we could get Kevin Sorbo?
Yeah.
Yeah?
What's he doing right now?
He's doing a bunch of like PureFlix movies.
So we're just gonna do public domain name.
Yeah. We have half an hour. I'm just keeping you up on time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. What do we have next? Where do we go normally in this part?
So we have...
Now, keep on. We are really condensing this down. This would normally have taken us like a full day to kind of get to this part. But I'm very nervous, so I'm trying to talk very quickly and get this done.
Cool as...
Well, he gets a chair. I got to stand it.
I do. We'll see if that swaps in future episodes.
Now, I think that there should be a character who is... So I would assume that if it's a group, like if you ever go to any kind of group thing, you're not going to go every single day.
No.
So which means that for 10 weeks, unless you're court order for 10 weeks, if you are just going to the group for yourself, you're probably going to miss some, which means we can throw one-offs or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there...
With a magician, we might have enough to kind of like start planning the fight. So they get confirmation in 5.
Yeah.
In 7, do we want them to plan on like, we're really going to do this? Is that where we want them to like come to the conclusion? Like 5 is confirmation that the counselor used to be a bad guy. Is 7 where they realize that he is still a bad guy and they team up?
Yeah, I guess 7 is where...
We could do it in 6.
I think 6 or 7 is where we should find out the bad person's plan.
Okay.
At some point, the plan has to be revealed.
Which is what?
Well...
In this case. Because he's a counselor, and so far, at least from what I've kind of gleaned, he seems to be legitimately trying to help these people.
Yeah.
Which is not a villainous...
Okay, so what if... So if his powers go away, what would be a reason that he would want to... What would be another reason that he would want... Let's just say he is a bad guy.
Okay.
What would be a reason he would want people around him anyway?
Did he start this counseling group with the intention of being a bad person? Or is this part, or did we determine this was part of his like public service from the government?
I think that he feels that he's doing a good job.
He feels like he's doing a good thing.
He feels like the hero. I say for the first half, maybe
you wonder if he's not truly
could be the hero because you're thinking Mangoose is the main villain.
I mean, him knowing the powers out does kind of like give him that role almost, in that he gives them a space of comfort.
So he's like just power hungry. Because
does he take their powers after he absorbs them?
Oh, so he doesn't cancel them; he absorbs them.
But then, why would he surround himself with useless powers? unless they like sustain him in some way.
Fair.
Because I wouldn't if I
Well,
so if I ran a counseling group for superheroes
which you will soon.
and a dude came in who's half goose, I'd be like, if I knew that I was at risk of being turned into a half goose, I'd be like,
okay,
we have a line painted on the yard. You can stay outside that line.
Fair. Okay, so what if instead of absorbing their powers, what if he absorbs like their emotions? And because they're all here and depressed people, it would be like a big fuel source for like if he what is it called when someone, I guess an opposite of an empath, succubus of some sort.
So I guess I don't know.
So like an emotional, maybe like an emotional succubus.
The term a lot of people use now is psychic vampire, but that's like an actual psychological term from what I understand.
No, they don't have teeth.
No.
So let's just say that he nulls powers, but also
he feeds off emotion.
He feeds off their emotions.
So he cancels out powers and he absorbs them. That does kind of resonate a little bit.
That's an ultimate bad guy though.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Because you think if you have powers and you're around him and you lose them, you're going to be upset anyway.
Yeah. Especially
if you don't know what's going to happen.
It does amp people up.
I like that.
That's not bad. Yeah.
So he has like a secret. So
maybe a second power.
So maybe in the beginning when you said, do people know his powers? So maybe he's very clear. This is what my power does.
Yeah. He's very open about being a null.
Yeah. This is why I run the group.
Okay.
And people feel safe around him.
And then when Mangoose comes across his like government dossier or something, it's like primary power set, power nullification, tertiary power set, emotional vampirism.
So the confirmation is him finding out.
He goes, no wonder I'm so exhausted. It's not just the catharsis of letting my emotions out in a safe space.
It's not just the everyday life.
I'm literally being absorbed emotionally. And that way we can avoid the potential therapy as bad connotation here.
Yeah, which obviously
we don't support that viewpoint. This is not...
Therapy is never a joke.
No.
Yeah, we'll be very, very clear about that none of this joke is these people trying to seek help.
I am very open with people about my own therapy appointments.
We are very pro-therapy. We're very pro talking to people if you need help. And not one joke in this whole thing, if we ever do this, will be the fact that they are in therapy.
This has been a some nobody's disclaimer.
Yeah, everything that we do, we're very clear that A, no cussing, we try not to, and B, certain things are just not funny.
However, if you do find yourself in a therapy situation with a counselor such as this, you should find a different therapist.
Yeah, or call us because now we'll know what to do.
Continuing.
Okay, so now we know that at the end of episode 5, that's the confirmation of the second power.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Which is cool because that will actually probably get these two to connect hard.
So then what is the turn where they realize that, like, because it's not that this is not impactful, but what takes it to the point where they think they have to band together to stop him? Beyond just not going anymore.
Well,
or turning him in.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned just having a gun. What if like at some, so there has to be a confrontation at some point, right? So some of them are, it's not just like maybe Mangoose would be okay with just not going back, but some people want to be heroes. Sure. So they're going to confront him, I would assume.
Okay.
And let's just say that at that point, that's when like the villain does something just villainous. And now you can't just not go. You have to
ignore
fight.
It.
Right.
Okay.
What if he just straight up shoots somebody?
He shoots somebody in the counseling group?
Right in a group just for calling him out. Is that too far?
For 7, yes. I could see that being like part of the final confrontation, maybe a 9.
Because there has to be a reason these people that only know each other for 2.5 months would join up together.
Maybe in 9 he shoots someone, and maybe that's why they. So you said it could be them winning or losing. Maybe they have to confront him earlier than they mean to, because in episode 9 he really does. Maybe in 7 they confront him. In 7 they confront him verbally in the group. In 7 they confront him. They're like, I don't know how they bring it up to him yet, but you have that big climactic kind of confrontation scene where they're like, we know what you've done, and we know what you've been doing. And then he has like a moment where it's like, I tried to help. And then 8 is like, we could have 8 be a really tense kind of standard counseling session. They're
just like still sitting in it.
They're kind of, it's like they had, in 7, they confront it and maybe voice of reason talks everybody down. Like, there's no need to get this violence, but we gotta, we can't have you eating our feelings because eating your feelings never works out.
So 8 is the light bulb
I
moment.
thought that was a hot air balloon.
No, it's a light bulb.
I know. I see it now. When you were drawing, I'm like, why is he drawing a balloon? It's all right.
Because this is where things start rising.
Okay.
It's the hot air goes.
But the rise in action is supposed to be right here.
Rising. So 8 is the light bulb moment where they go and say, like, if they were to. So what you're saying is that if they were to have like 2 more weeks, they would have been sufficiently prepared.
Yeah.
So if they do fight him early, then they're going to die.
Or at least the outcome is left ambiguous.
All right. So then the end is right. So maybe the end is going up to the fight as a team once.
Sure.
And it lands on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah. No, I think that works.
It's a battle, kind of.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind
battle question mark. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So in confrontation with the confirmation. So this is a joke one here. This is kind of a Joker. Bang.
And I think they become less jokey as the season goes on.
Well,
obviously, but the humor, we can have the humor turn a little darker, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Let's see.
All right, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? So we've got characters, and we have a framework in which we can fit those characters in.
I guess we need arcs.
Yes.
Or we kind of have that?
So we should at least.
So we do know the first arc is the first 3 episodes.
First 3, and then the first 5. The first 3 are character arcs, where we see Mangoose and Expiration 8 come to an understandable mutual agreement.
Oh, okay.
I think we have character arcs, and then we have the series arcs in which that appears.
So then from 1 to 5 is series
1 to 5
1?
is arc 1, where they kind of determine what the actual threat is. 5 to 10 is where they decide they're going to confront the threat and then do.
So there's a 2 arc season.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sure. With character arcs in between.
I guess here's the initial arc.
Yes.
Like the first premiere.
Yeah. That will be at least like the first inter-character thing where Expiration Nate and Mangoose come together and are like, all right, cool. We are not at each other's throats. We are here in a group together, and we should be supportive of each other.
Cool.
We'll have an undercurrent of like mutual support, respect going through this because they're in a counseling environment.
What are things what do we need? We also need some throwaway people in there.
We do.
We also got to find out who dies.
We do. I watched Palm Springs last night after you told me to.
Oh, cool.
It's good. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute. It doesn't do anything new.
Right.
But it handles
it.
It does
ask a couple cool questions though.
It does develop the idea of a time loop story in a way that has not yet been developed so much, where one of them does, not spoilers, one of them does work actively to find out a way to do it.
Yeah.
To get out of there. But
time loop's cool.
Let's do a time loop.
So one of their powers is that they're stuck in a time loop?
Maybe they're hyper competent. But the minute they get into the like null sphere, they forget every previous iteration. They only remember that they're in it.
Oh, cool.
Like it's like they enter it and all of a sudden they're in airplane mode.
I love that. So if they're in a time loop, every day is the same for them. That's pretty cool.
Keep it to a day. We don't need to go any longer.
So what if? Okay, go with me here.
Okay.
This person in a time loop, which means everything they say, they're going to say every single day, or whatever they do, they're going to do every single day, right?
No, I feel like that's a little backwards. Because the time loop is that everything happens the same way, and you react however you want, unless they've been in the time loop so long that it's become rote, or if entering the counselor's like null sphere scrambles them up a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to maybe work in a theory that if it is a time loop, then we could put in something about a prophecy earlier on, and maybe people wouldn't get it until later on somehow. But I guess, I kind of backwards thought how a time loop works. So then
there's something there.
Yeah,
I want to do a time. We'll do a time loop story at some point.
All right. Hopefully you guys are okay with this. How we work this out, because I'm going to suggest a time loop story very soon, because I think time loops are very cool.
It's fun. We have 15 minutes.
Okay. So, I guess from here out, we do what we talked about at the beginning was the beginning of every show, we're going to have a bit of a scene.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out what a scene is that we're going to do next week.
Let's write down. We need a character that is the sacrificial lamb.
Yep.
We need the goat who was put on the altar.
Cool. We're gonna.
And they will be the ones who get shot in 8 or 9. They're the ones who the counselor takes care of.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Out in episode 9.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously they're going to help out, and then they're a part of the big group, which is why when they die, that's the big crux, which is cool.
Okay. Maybe they're like, I don't know. Do we want to go dark and have it be like a younger, like a kid? Or is that too dark? Because that'll get people against the counselor.
Maybe, I don't know, not a kid. Why would a kid be in a group? Unless like a juvie group.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to that.
It would be.
It's an innocent.
It definitely needs someone that they all love and is innocent.
They need to be an innocent. That's the primary thing.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay.
We can write that in. That's cool. But I do think that the scene we should work on
what scene are we going to telescope into?
It might be the end of episode 1.
Where Exploration Nate thinks that Mangoose is responsible for the shortened lifespan.
Yeah, I think that's I think outside of just a throwaway joke, that's the most riveting scene.
That works for me. We can work on that.
Yeah.
Now, next question. Are we going for a specific length on these episodes? Half hour?
I say a half hour. 25 minutes, half an hour is cool.
So, well, let's think so if we have the counselor, and then presumably Mangoose is going to be in every episode.
Yeah.
And then Exploration Nate will be in most. So right there, that's 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Presuming a counseling group of 4 or 5, depending.
5, yeah.
So
6
half
people,
an hour.
Yeah, 6 people every episode.
That leaves a budget of about, if we want to do it evenly, which we're not going to, 5 minutes per person speaking, which is actually a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we've seen in our other projects, time can creep up on you especially when you get some good content.
Yeah.
I think aiming for half an hour plus half an hour is really easily digestible for a podcast.
I like that. It's easy. It's a drive to work.
Yeah.
Or
for us.
A drive to somewhere.
Yeah.
Cool.
And,
so let's just say 10 half an hour things. Let's say their meeting is a half an hour.
And then that gives us every 2 episodes, you have a moderately large reveal at the end of that second one.
Yeah.
3, 5, 7, 9.
Perfect.
And then you can either do a 3 block for the final one or just finish 10 by itself.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's cool.
So in that case, scene-wise, obviously each episode is going to have its own scene breakdown. Where do we see this reveal? Is it the final scene of the show?
Yeah, I would say that this is walking out of group.
Okay.
Maybe Exploration Nate talking to his partner.
Yep.
Introducing Mangoose.
Okay.
And then that kiss goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shock
Yep.
of what, maybe a couple questions, and then saying like something you did.
Have you started smoking again?
Yeah, something like that. Like, are you want to pixie sticks? I don't know what kids are doing these days.
I don't know what kids are doing.
And then it's that quick conversation out of terror because their time went from 30 years in the future to exactly 10 weeks.
Yeah.
On the day of a meeting.
Does it end with him confronting her then? Like, or do we want like
it ends with their conversation?
Yeah.
Hinting at the
So what I'm seeing right now, we're seeing, and I'm going to describe this visually despite the fact that it's audible. Exploration Nate and Voice of Reason leave wherever they're meeting, the VFW hall, some rented office, church basement, whatever.
Yeah.
They leave. They are discussing the session maybe. They are talking about their plans for the evening and the rest of the week. Do they live together?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe she's doing something that they have to part ways because I don't know. Like, are they kissing before they get in their car together?
Yeah, just like at the end of a.
Sure. Okay. That's fine.
It's like a kiss in a meeting.
Well, no. Okay. I'm just checking. But
maybe they do got to part ways. That makes sense. I mean,
I don't know. It doesn't have to. Whatever.
Yeah.
The thing is, they talk, they chatter. Maybe we drop something we can reincorporate later in of Exploration 8, knowing something is going down. Like, remember on the 5th, take 2 steps to the left when you leave the door. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how detailed his visions are. They kiss. He has a moment where he starts talking. He like continues the conversation. And he stops. He goes, "Wait, hold on, kiss me again." And she goes, "Wait, what? Yeah, kiss me again." Do you feel okay? Why? What do you? And then I think she knows his power. She very clearly knows his power, so I think she knows exactly how he's reacting.
Or what if, let's just say, just for continuity's sake, they're outside talking before Mangoose walks through. Mangoose is lingering. They are about to break. They kiss. Things are fine.
Yeah.
Mangoose walks through. Oh, I guess it would have changed already by then. Because I'll say, like, if then that's when the introduction of.
I made the assumption that Mangoose's appearance at all changed it from that point on. So,
it would have been this class somehow.
Yeah.
True.
But so he goes, "What? You started smoking again? Like, what do you?" And she goes, "No. Why? Why? What changed?" And he goes, "I don't know what changed, except 10 weeks." What do you mean?
What if he says 9 weeks? And then
something changes later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. The point is he says something along the lines of it's not 10 years, it's 9 weeks. What do you mean? We've got 9 weeks to figure out what happened. And then we hear, honk. "Hey, thanks for the session, honk."
Yeah. Cool.
And then
like, Mangoose.
And then he I don't know how we portray a suspicious look or a narrowing of the eyebrow of the eyelids.
Yeah, maybe we'll put some cool music in
something.
there. Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace, Ennio Morricone.
Did you do like a spaghetti western theme?
Yeah, I don't know. He died like 2 weeks ago. Rest in peace.
Okay, well, I mean, fair, but the theme doesn't work here.
No, it doesn't. It would get the mood across.
So yeah, we put that cool
we get some sort of
tense theme. Yeah, cool. Or somehow think of a way. Cool. All right. So then next week we will script out a brief part of that scene. Just so you can show you guys what Dylan and I do when we're not. So one of our things with the whole week is we sit down and we brainstorm one of our shows or one of our projects all the way down to almost a completed project. The next thing we do is we kind of break apart for a couple of days, and Dylan writes all the scripts. I brainstorm and obviously do producing and editing and sound, whatever. So next week, you guys are going to see one or two of our actors.
Yeah.
We're going to put on a quick little scene of the end of the beginning of this show, which so far is called Not So Super Support. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Right?
So what did we learn today, Zach? What did we learn going through this?
So the one thing that is the hardest for me to do is to give myself the structure to actually complete a story. I have a very good idea sometimes, and as you know, I'll call you or text you with a very crazy idea. But to take that idea, to set a bit of a structure around it, and then to give yourselves like a final. This is where the story ends. I think that was interesting for me to go through because usually you do this part.
Sure.
I just talk a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned.
All right.
Subtle structure. Take a story or take an idea and then turn it into characters.
Yeah. I'm working on generating ideas, which is partially why this partnership works so well, because usually I'm very good at spinning stuff out.
Yeah.
Actual generating of it, I can falter a little bit. So it's nice to get the generation going in such a confined amount of time.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
You did too. Yeah. Sacrifice has an I instead of a second A, just so you know. Sacrifice.
No, that was a 4.
Okay. Sacrifice.
Yeah. Oh, it's
cool.
for episode. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no worries.
Anywho, once again, we are Some Nobodies.
Yes.
You can go to somenobodies.com if you want to see anything we're doing. Other than that, please tune in next week where we bring 2 more ideas and we fight about it a little bit.
We appreciate you watching. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for watching whenever this gets uploaded as like a full standalone video. Once again, I'm Dylan. This is Zach. We're Some Nobodies, as you can see right up top. And we create as best we can, and we hope that through this you can kind of see how that process works and maybe create something of your own.
Yeah, and if you do want to see something, we're almost done. Silicon Angels is almost finished. We have 2 more episodes of that. A podcast show is going on where Dylan and I find underplayed podcasts and review them.
If you want more of our banter that we partially showcase on this, that one is almost entirely banter.
Yeah.
And I have to say, there's some zing to it.
You got banter.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you folks very much. We really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you to IBM TV for putting us on here.
Thank you.
We hope you guys like it enough that you'd like us to come back next week.
Yeah.
And
be well out there. Do no harm. Take no guff.
Keep checking into Some Nobodies.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. What does come next?
What does come next? We're looking at. I mean, so do we want to hit on like specific bullet points for the humor episodes, or do we want to spin more characters out?
How much more time do we got to work on this stuff?
Technically 6 minutes.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we still got to figure out the rest of that scene. I think we should probably throw in a couple of joke characters in there anyway. Yeah. I want to somehow work in that time loop thing.
Time loop person.
I think that's cool.
I really like the idea that they forget everything that happened when they enter that bubble.
Yeah, because then if they know something, then it wouldn't matter until they leave again.
Depending on how long they've been in the time loop, that could be a lot of memories just vanishing. Maybe it leaves them discombobulated.
Oh, it's crazy. And then
Can you imagine like 40 years of your life disappearing and suddenly you're back to the day before anything weird happened, but you know decades of weird stuff has happened?
Would you know what happened once you left the bubble?
I think so. Yeah.
Why would you ever go back in the bubble? That seems like a tough one to get into.
Maybe it's like a comfort area.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe they just go there every day.
Sorry, hold on. This is logistics stuff. Don't worry about this.
Sorry. I do like the voice of reason being someone that like rallies people, but not all the way. Similar to like if Bernie Sanders were a superhero. It's like,
Aww.
he's so close.
Aww.
You almost